Hello people, Carol Sakey here. Today is the 30th of October 2019. I'm here to Wake Up New Zealand. So I'd like to go over a historical report going back to 2015, August 2015, and this relates to the UN and the Islamic Declaration on climate change. So this is the new green religion. Islamic leaders in 2015 called upon the world's 1.6 billion Muslims to play an active role in combating climate change, urging governments to conclude an effective universal climate change agreement. This was held at the International Islamic Climate Change Symposium in Istanbul. They pushed for a binding conclusion and discussed the dire consequences to the planet Earth if we do not do anything about it. You know, a climate emergency. It was a climate emergency in 2015. And it goes on and on. Even back then, the Islamic leaders stated they wanted zero emissions as soon as possible. So there you go. Someone beat Jacinda Ardern to it. It was her friend, the Muslims. The Muslim leaders therefore called on the people of all nations and their leaders to phase out greenhouse gases, the greenhouse gas emissions. This is to, they say, stabilize greenhouse gas and renewable energy concentrations in the atmosphere. So to commit themselves and the rest of the world to 100% renewable energy or zero emissions as early as possible, because it's an emergency. Of course, the United Nations FCCC welcomed this. Of course they would. Without the good old climate change scam, there'd be no United Nations. The Muslim leaders' declarations of climate change, the Islamic leaders actually boasted that it was their duty as stewards of the earth, an appointed guide to correct everyone's behaviour on climate change, to behave in the right manner. Now, we know where Jacinda Ardern gets it from, don't we? We know where she gets her zero carbon for New Zealand. She wasn't the first after all. So, of course, we know that man-made climate change is a globalist, socialist scam to get rid of capitalism, don't we? To enable the UN one world government to control every nation on this earth. And they are using this global man-made climate change to do just that. So it wants to flex its muscles to get you all believing we have a big emergency on our hands and the world is going to come to an end in 11 or 12 years. They're scamming everyone. They're scamming our kids. They're putting fear tactics into our kids. They are just criminals. And so the global surge continues. So now we've got religions calling to support climate change, the biggest scam of the century. All religions and ideologies as one green religion. Here are some examples of this. Pope Francis. He released a papal letter in which he called on world's 1.2 billion Catholics to join the fight against climate change. Yep. The Church of England urged world leaders to agree upon a a long-term pathway to a low-carbon future. They're just a couple of among a number of religious groups promising to direct their resources into clean energy. Hindu leaders and the Buddhist community agree with this scam. Hundreds of rabbis released a rabbinic letter on the climate change crisis, the importance of global support of faith groups. Well, obviously, the UN need the support of these faith groups so that climate change can be effective. They drag anyone in. Anyone. All the kids, everyone, anyone. Climate action is underscored by the Pew Research Centre data, according to which 84% of the world's population are religiously affiliated to. And we all know about data research, don't we? Is accommodated to fit the global warming scam. There's already been an admittance of that through NASA. Scientists have proven it is a scam. So, let's get back to Auckland, shall we? Auckland, New Zealand. The Auckland City Council is busy making plans as to how Aucklanders can contribute to solving the emergency climate change crisis. The council have what they call now, it's a online ideas hub. I thought they knew all about climate change. They're asking for ideas now for us to put it right. Oh my God. So that the bullshit of man-made climate change can go rolling on like a stone gathering moss. Auckland residents can write to the council with their ideas and thoughts to put forward to the council to consider as to council's climate change plan, the climate action plan for Auckland. Oh my gosh. They've already made, you look at your council rates, look how they describe where your money's going. These climate change predictions, they're maybes. There is no facts. The facts are not there. There are no scientific facts that the council provide to ratepayers, and ratepayers need to take them to task. They are scamming you out of ratepayer money. So the global scam is costing ratepayers and taxpayers far too much. After all, we allow ourselves to be sucked in and blown out in bubbles. Shouldn't we warn others about this man-made global warming scam? I think we should. And we should start telling our kids about it. I know they're being taught at school all about the UN climate change, this wonderful utopian world we're all supposed to have if their parents and their grandparents put their hands in their pockets and throw money at the UN. It's about time we taught them a bit different at home, I think. They may be a bit confused who to believe, but I'd rather have them confused than to believe this dribble. So, now the council. Of course, now we have the City Council and their climate change online ideas, providing leading questions for people to answer. This is called Generation Zero. This is what the council call it. So, questions. Public transport. Do we need more in Auckland? Council proposals for 2019 to increase the appeal and viability of public transport. We need to radically reallocate road space to bus lanes. You're going to be some very frustrated, angry drivers on the road. This is not going to make people catch buses. It's just going to make them angry. Council proposals. They want to propose the Integrated Corridors program relocating general traffic lanes to bus lanes. And they want to do it to bus lanes, and they want to do it at a very fast rate and to continue them through intersections instead of using so much road space for general traffic at intersections. Challenge: how can we protect and increase green spaces in Auckland? Council's idea: build housing on car parks. Oh, they're already doing that now. Have you seen the mess Auckland's in? Try getting a car park in Auckland. Council: report that there's a lot of space in Auckland dedicated to storing private cars. The car parks induce driving and they spread amenities apart so that people can walk. People can cycle. People can pick up a Lime scooter. Even more ACC payments. Pavements are meant to walk on, not to have mad buses travelling at high speeds, knocking people off their feet and weaving in and out of people on the footpath. It's scary shit for the elderly and the disabled. Scary shit for me, actually. I went into Auckland the other day. I thought I was going to get run over by one. I had to step out the way. So I'm sure a lot of you have been in that situation. So what they say, if we build high-density apartments on the large car parks, together with new gardens, there will be less pressure on green spaces and less pressure to build greenfield developments on farmland. So since these car parks are in more central, well-connected areas compared to fringe car-dependent developments, the need to drive will be reduced. Get the cars off the road. Emissions. So reduce, and further reduce traffic. Mainly cars. Increase buses, increase walkways, increase scooters. Can you see this happening? It's going to be a nightmare. It's already a nightmare in Auckland, isn't it? Council needs to set a methodology for how this will be achieved, and they're setting targets, monitoring progress, and adjusting their targets as they are reached. Council's idea? E-scooters. Share scheme. They're in demand around Auckland. They're independent of cars. And there's a variety of options. Adopt cycling, share cycles, walk. So that the council now have a poll. And the question is, are e-scooters a fad or practical? And here is what the council states. Auckland needs to respond by allowing scooters to use cycle lanes and by rapidly growing the cycle line network. This can only happen if the capacity to build cycleways is also grown. So, more cycleways, more scooters, more people getting knocked off their feet on footpaths, more ACC payments, more people in hospital. Have you noticed they don't even wear helmets? And they go in and out the traffic and then jump onto the footpaths. It's crazy. And this, the Auckland City Council says is okay. So this is what the Auckland City Council CEO states. Everything that Auckland Transport does should be evaluated under emissions reduction lens to reduce emissions. They need to reduce people's need to travel long distances in private cars. And they are going to suggest ways to do that. And they will cut deep to the very mechanisms it uses to decide what to fund and who makes the decisions. that it wouldn't hurt the CEO to quiet every 18 meeting to start with affirmation that business will transform from city car dependent, dangerous, carbon emitting to sustainable development. UN Sustainable Development Agenda 21, UN Agenda 2030. So, know what you're in for now? They say it will be more sustainable, everyone walking, on scooters, using public transport, more safer for kids and accessible without their parents. That's what they say, without their parents. So, question by the council. In the face of climate change, how can we be responsible to kaitiaki? The council idea is eco-suburbs where cars don't dominate. At the moment, there is no choice but to live in a car-free suburb. Perhaps in time, existing suburbs could vote to become car-free, or at least make changes so they're not dominated by cars. The council's target, action pathways. Financial and other incentives to meet targets are needed for the Auckland Council are planning the following reductions in emissions. Reductions of vehicle kilometres travelled overall, reduction of vehicle kilometres travelled per capita. More cycleways, more pathways, less car lanes, more bus lanes. Who wants to go into Auckland anyway? It's a shambles, a total bloody shambles, and it's going to get worse. Thank you, people.